Welcome back, guys. Thanks for joining this new music discussion, a little video that I'm going to do today. If you haven't subscribed, please don't forget to subscribe as well. So the discussion today, and I haven't done any videos like that for a while, but the discussion I wanted to do today is one that's actually a pretty sort of important topic for me, because I face this quite regularly as a guitar teacher. I get a lot of parents that when they first want their kids to start the guitar, they say, oh, can we start with acoustic because that's the correct way? And I'm sure other guitar teachers out there must have heard that one as well a zillion times. So what I wanted to talk about is sort of why do people think that? Is that justified? Is that really the reason, the thing, or is there really, what can we ask as guitar teachers, guitar professionals, explain to parents about what is the right and the wrong way, if there is one? Now, a lot of the times, the parents that say that to me, and this is no disrespect if any of my students' parents are watching this video, but a lot of the times actually the parents may not actually be guitarists themselves or have played themselves, but it's just something, this kind of stuff that you sort of, this in practically urban legends that you have in your mind, that's the correct way to play or to learn the instrument. So I just wanted to sort of like go into that myth as to why that is. Now, funnily enough, I faced the same thing when I wanted to play the guitar. My parents for years and years forced me to play the piano, didn't really take up to it. In the initial years, I had some really difficult teachers in the French Conservatoire that was so strict. I luckily did luck out around the age of 13 and got a really amazing piano teacher who, just a shout out to her, is a French lady called Sophie Pongiclis, who actually is a professional opera singer and probably one of France's greatest opera singers at the moment. She's phenomenal, so if you get a chance to check her out, please do. She was also a great piano player and also my tutor for a number of years on the piano. She did manage to get me the love of piano a little bit, probably more by sort of making me play pieces that I had more interest. So I remember, as an example, learning a piano version of Stairway to Heaven, which, was fun to play. But anyway, so I digress. So she, despite finding a teacher like her that really helped me, the piano was never my calling, so I wanted to play the guitar because all my heroes were guitarists. So anyway, so when I sort of finally took the courage to approach my parents and say, look, I want to play the guitar, and I was about 15, their first thing was, fine, we're not paying for lessons because we played for 7 years of lessons for the piano, so we're not paying for lessons, which, okay, fair enough, but you sort of wanted me to play the piano anyway. I said fine. At that point, I was ready to just say yes to anything. And the second thing they said is, yes, as long as you learn on an acoustic first. Okay. All right, fair enough. I didn't really see the reasoning behind it, but I went along with it, got myself my first acoustic, which I still have. That recently sadly snapped, actually. But anyway, I still have, it was a Yamaha F, whatever those are. Some of my students still play those. Anyway, so why is that sort of people feel that acoustic guitar should be the way you play? Now, there's nothing that says that you can't, that whatever you learn on the acoustic, you can't take it on the electric. Absolutely. The great thing is whatever you learn as a beginner, because most of the time, what are you going to learn as a beginner? You're going to learn to play a few chords. You're going to learn to play a few chords, probably a few riffs. You're going to learn all this kind of stuff that pretty much everyone learns, that you can learn on an electric or an acoustic. That's not a problem. It's more the sort of stigma attached to that that's a bit sort of interesting. And I think, in my mind, I've never really gone, because I don't want to challenge parents like that, because I think it's a bit rude to do that. But I think there is a mentality still that prevails in people's mind, that if it's an acoustic instrument, a purely acoustic instrument, it's the proper way because you're playing. And I don't know whether there's a relationship with also pianos versus synthesizer, where synthesizer you can sample things. I don't know whether there's an element of that coming from the world of piano, and it'd be great for you guys to discuss that as well. I'd be great to find out what you guys think. Why do people think like that? So I think there's an element of that if it's an amplified instrument, automatically it's easier to play it. Now, anybody who plays the acoustic or the electric will know both instruments have got their own challenges. They're all, electric guitar is not by any means an easy instrument if you want to play it to a high level. Same with an acoustic. If you want to play the acoustic to a high level, I can't play anything that Tony Emanuel does, because it's not my world, and it will take me a lot. Yeah, I practically look like a beginner trying to play some of his stuff. But so I think but if I was to look at basic acoustic stuff, or sort of intermediate, I can play acoustic. But I'm saying in a very confident way, I'd have to spend some time on that. Just like somebody who plays acoustic, solely acoustic, transferring to the electric is not easy because you're sort of having to deal with amplification, how to manage the amplification. So there's definitely not, there's definitely obviously challenges, as we all know, on both sides. Now, I think the other stigma that's attached to electric guitar is electric guitar is obviously in a lot of, and especially I'm thinking about parents that sort of I have of kids now, those parents would have grown up in sort of that sort of 70s, 80s, sort of rock era, and they would have associated, I think, in their mind, the electric guitar to basically, decadence. Rock decadence, drug, sex, and rock and roll, I think. That's my feel, that's an association. It's a sort of a little bit of the whole guilty by association kind of thing that's happening there. That, electric guitar is for rock guitarists are drug addicts or, alcoholics, lead a reckless life and die young. That's basically what I think it could be as well. So it's an interesting, it could be an element of sort of thinking an acoustic instrument is more the pure way. That's why we should learn on an acoustic. And the electric guitar has got this slight stigma attached to it. Now, the electric guitar's been around now for a long, long time. I mean, yes, it's compared to the guitar, obviously, it's a relatively new instrument. But it's been around here for a long time now. And it's been enough technique and discipline built around the electric guitar that kind of stigma shouldn't really exist anymore. But it's still there. It's still something that I get with a lot of students. Now, the funny thing is, we didn't, so then most of my students end up starting on an acoustic, which is fine. I mean, like I said, all the beginner stuff, you can start on an acoustic by all means. It's no problem. Everything you learn, I teach a lot of the sort of grading, the RSL, the old rock school grading. And up to grade 2, including grade 2, you can actually do the electric guitar syllabus on an acoustic because they realize that there is a lot of people starting on acoustic. Now, there is one benefit of the acoustic for sure compared to the electric at the beginning, is it's a lot cheaper. To buy an acoustic, you can get a really decent one in the UK here in pounds. You can probably get a decent one for 40, 50 pounds that will get you going, especially if you've got a younger child that probably needs a smaller guitar, like a 3/4 size guitar. So it's no point of going and spend a fortune at the start. And also with children, you never know, today guitar's flavor of the day, tomorrow it could be something else. So obviously that's the other thing. But the other thing I do notice is that very quickly though, most of the kids clearly want to play electric. Now that brings me back to sort of what I was telling you earlier about my parents imposing certain rules. And I think this is the danger that sometimes parents, and I'm a parent and I've got a different feel because I come from the world of music, so I don't really impose this kind of stuff, I hope. I mean, I'm sure if you ask my kids, they'll say I do impose a lot of things, but I don't think I do. I do think that one thing that parents should remember when they're sort of getting their kids to play an instrument, remember it should be fun. And it should be something that they can relate to. Playing the acoustic guitar may not necessarily be something they're relating to. They generally will see people with an electric guitar rocking out. That might be what they relate to and they want to do that. They want to emulate that. Remember, emulation is probably the best form of positive influence. If you want to emulate somebody, you're more likely to work towards that goal. So I think it's important to remember the fun element. If you start putting straight away boundaries, no, you can't do it this way, you can't do it that way, the fun goes out very, very quickly. That doesn't mean we don't have to work. My students will all say I can be very, very difficult or strict if they haven't done their work. But it's with the purpose of that you're having fun playing the instrument. If it's an instrument that fundamentally doesn't inspire you, just like with me, the piano for 7 years just didn't do it for me. I just didn't enjoy it. That's pointless. And I always ask my students, look, do you want to play, or do you want to, I can see the motivations going down, are you still willing to play? So yeah, so that's just to finish off this rambling. So yes, the acoustic guitar has got benefits. Like I said, it's cheaper. You can obviously move from one to the other fairly easily, especially acoustic to the electric at the beginner level, beginner to intermediate level. You can transpose a lot of that knowledge. But I think what I was trying to sort of get to is that sort of stigma attached to the electric guitar from sort of parents and all that. That no, just because your child plays an electric guitar doesn't mean they're going to turn into decadent rock stars. It's not the case, and if your kids wants to get very, very good at electric guitar, they're more likely just to stay at home and practice to get better and better. So anyway, so I don't know what you guys think about that as guitar teachers. Have you had this issue? Because this question asks, how do you tackle it? Because I tend to, like I said, tell the parents, look, the kids need to have fun. If you want to start on an acoustic, that's absolutely fine. But just as a note, the rock school syllabus is the one that kids, or the sort of rock modern music syllabus is the ones that tend to excite kids more. than the more classical route. And I will do a video about sort of these kind of exam boards a little bit in a while. But bear in mind that you want them to have fun. Doing something that they can't relate to may actually switch them off. So, and I always say, look, eventually people will move on to the electric, but you know, you can hold off the big investment at the start, get an acoustic, get started for a couple of years, and then, you know, once they're a bit older as well, and they can actually play a full-size guitar, you can spend a bit more money to get the guitar, the amplifier. So I understand the investment that's required. That's absolutely fine. That to me is a genuine argument. The argument that, oh, the acoustic guitar is the proper way, is the one that I always tend to sort of go, well, actually that's not really the case. You can quite easily just start on the electric and become an amazingly proficient electric guitarist. Anyway, until next time, stay safe and stay metal.